Are you ready? It's time for another great infotaining show filled with power-packed business and life information. Welcome to Your Future Is Now with your host, Jim Grant, and co-host, Don McGrath. Want to know how to create a fantastic TED Talk? Or how you can become an author or a speaker or build your own online business? Maybe it's reaching a level of success in your life that you deserve. Their show is designed to provide information to assist you towards your success and destiny. Each week, Jim and Don will interview a special guest and share exciting lessons. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes. Thanks for joining the show. Now, here's Jim.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Jim Grant, your host, and welcome to Your Future Is Now. Our show is sponsored by the speakerspathway.com. And I want to say hope everyone out there is having a great Good Friday, because today is a great, great day. We've been very fortunate by co-host Dandy Don McGrath. Dandy Don and I have been very, very blessed with the caliber of guests that we have on our show. And today is no exception, is it, Dandy?
Absolutely. We're so excited to have Dustin on. You know, you and I have known him for quite some time and been we've been guided by him, coached by him, and befriended by him. So it's an absolute honor to have Dustin on today.
It really is. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Dustin in a moment. But I want to give a shout out to last week's guest, Tamara Hunter. And Tamara, if you didn't get a chance to hear her podcast, it's on the website here at togonet.com. But most importantly, Tamara's done some wonderful work. She has got the cancer, chemo buddies for life, because she's a cancer survivor. And she is being considered for the next impactor. This lady, because she's giving so much from her heart, she is just attracting people. And Don, you've known Tamara longer than I have.
Yeah, I've known Tamara for a couple of years, and we met at some events. And I was impressed from day one about how the energy she has, the heart that she has, and the number of people that she knows. And it's just exploding right now with the next impactor. I mean, her vision is unbelievable. So if you're listening to this and you want to know more, go listen to our show with Tamara. Unbelievable heart, unbelievable story. If you want to be inspired, watch that, listen to that episode.
Yeah, absolutely, Dandy. You're so right about her, because what makes Tamara so electrifying and so attractive is that she's got skin in the game. She talks about those three words: you've got cancer, or you have cancer. And what a sobering experience that was for her. And her entire mission in life is to make sure that anyone else that has cancer, they don't walk that path alone. They have a buddy, because she knows how she felt and where she came from. And Dandy, on the last show, or the show she was on, which was last week, she shared with us that anyone that has a life-threatening disease can also become a member of the Chemo Buddies for Life. Is that correct?
Yeah, so apparently a number of people have reached out to her with things like kidney disorders and said, hey, can we be part of this network? You know what Tamara said? Absolutely. She opened her arms to them and welcomed them on board. So yeah, people with different struggles that they're having, that, Tamara's making sure they're not going to walk their journey alone either.
Absolutely, Dandy. And that just, floored me. And then on the Friday freebie of last week, she offered a guide. Just, all you have to do is go to her website, Chemo Buddies for Life, the number 4, forlife.org. And I think the guy's there, but she gave the details in the show of last week. So you can listen to the podcast, or you can go to the show description there, and you'll see Tamara's picture. She's a cancer survivor, like I said, and she's got all the information there. In fact, all the information from last week's show is there. And Dandy Don, Tamara is such a generous and warm person. She introduced us to Mark Green. And Mark Green not only wanted Tamara to be on his stage, Also, one of our other guests 2 weeks ago, Mr. Bill Heinrich, one of the executive training directors. In fact, Tamara and Bill are both executive training directors at speakerspathway.com. But this week, Dandy, you got invited, and I got invited to be on that stage with Mark Green. That is really incredible, isn't it?
It's an absolute honor, and Mark does so much for veterans. And, you and I have a soft spot for veterans, you being a veteran and my father being a prisoner of war in World War II. We've got that connection. We did the Pathway for Vets event. So our paths crossed, as they needed to, as they should have, as they have with Mark. And we're honored to be a part of what Mark is putting together.
We certainly are. And when Don mentioned about his father being a prisoner of war, a prisoner during World War II in Germany, Don and I, we had just met, and we just knew we were going to be friends for life. But when he found out I was a Vietnam veteran, he shared with me about his dad being a prisoner of war. And it was something like that. That was the glue that cemented our friendship. And ladies and gentlemen, little did we know at that point in time that we were going to, go way beyond just being great friends. Because Don and I, as we continue down our individual path and meeting each other, we're both founders of the Speakers Pathway Coalition, which is speakerspathway.com. Now, normally when we hear the word speakers, we think of being on stage, but it's a lot more than that, because not everybody that comes to the speakerspathway.com has to be a speaker. Is that right, Don?
That's right. The people who are in our community, some of them are authors. Some of them are speakers. Some of them have businesses that they just want to share their message. Some people have a mission that's not a business. Some people, like Tamara, they have a cause. But in every one of those cases, it's extremely important to be able to share your message so that you can grow your following. And so in Speakers Pathway, that's what we do. And that's our mission. And I agree that back when we first met, we would have never have envisioned us being on a radio show, right? If a year ago or so, or a year and a half ago, if you had ever told me that you and I would have a radio show, I'd say, get out of town, shut the door.
I know we'll forget that, folks. I'm not going to go into detail because time is of the essence. We got to brag a little bit on our guest, Dustin. But when Don and I first met, we were in the middle of some exercise. We were at an event, and I just met Don. I looked across at him, and he lit up in a big smile, and I just cracked up and started laughing. And then we took a break, and that's when we shared the information about me being a Vietnam veteran, his dad being a prisoner of war, and all that. Then after that, honest to goodness, he got up, he did a cross between the Boogaloo and the Watusi and everything else. He got up just to get down, trying to crack me up.
I couldn't make you smile. I couldn't even. So that was a magic moment.
Yes, it was. And it's amazing how at that little humble beginning there, how this is stretched out and how we're touching other lives. And the message in that for you is how you can also touch other people's lives. And that's exactly what our guest, Dustin Mathews, has done, not only for me and Don, but for a multitude of people in all walks of life. And Don, I'd like for you to share a little bit about Dustin, if you would, please, sir.
Absolutely. So Dustin, Jim and I go a ways back with Dustin. So we trained with Dustin. He trained us in our speaking, in our copywriting, in our marketing. And I've trained with a lot of speakers. And I've trained with a lot of trainers. Mm-hmm. And Dustin is so generous. That's the thing that really strikes me. When you say Dustin Mathews, I think one of the most generous people that I know. And so he's done a lot of things. He's now the co-founder and chief education officer at WealthFit.com. And their goal is to make sure that everyone has access to all the best information about building wealth. And I'm looking at what he's doing, some of the people that he's interviewing on his podcast, which is Get WealthFit, from Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, racing legend Danica Patrick, Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks from Shark Tank, 7 times Olympic medalist Shannon Miller, just unbelievably powerful people. And that have a strange message or have an incredible message. So, Jim, one of the things that you and I believe in is that we don't know everything at all. And so what we do is we look to other people to help us to understand and to share their messages. And that's exactly what Dustin's been doing on his Get WealthFit podcast.
You are so correct. And I'm very excited to be associated with Dustin, because Dustin is a first-class caliber person. I made the mistake of calling him a chief executive officer, because I saw CEO and it just being chief executive officer. And he says, no, I'm the chief educational officer, the chief education officer. He co-founded the Get Wealth, WealthFit.com. They're, and I'm looking here right briefly, WealthFit.com, just like it sounds, WealthFit.com. But being the chief education officer, you know what Dustin's specialty is? He's going to teach you today how to be able to make money, how to become an entrepreneur, how to become a successful investor. In other words, how to do all the things that you were never taught to do in school. And that's really important, because we're going to be going to commercial break here in about a minute or so. But anyway, my point being, during the commercial break, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a paper and either a pencil or pen and take some notes, because as Danny just shared with you, the people he has interviewed and the people associated with Dustin, these are people who have done it. They're successful in their life. And the reason why Dustin is here, he wants you to be successful in your life. And I like his attitude, the way he has about people. Dandy, that's the first thing that impressed me about Dustin. He's the kind of person, when you look at him, you automatically like him.
Yeah, he's a hard person to talk to and not be smiling. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I like that. I like to be smiling myself.
Oh, yeah. We'll be right back right after these messages with Dustin Mathews.
SpeakersPathway.com is the proud sponsor of Your Future Is Now, a show dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the vision and mission of Speakers Pathway. Dr. Sony Jackson's expertise is on the art of marketing while cultivating a long-term customer relationship in your business world. Do you know what to say or how to deliver your message to complete strangers? If so, Sony can help you. Tamara Hunter is a cancer survivor and works with people to focus their message or mission to the audience they want to reach. Do you feel called to create a movement to make the world a better place? If so, Tamara can help you. For additional information from any of our executive training directors, go to SpeakersPathway.com. That is, SpeakersPathway.com.
Got a lead foot? According to state troopers, here's what not to do when you get pulled over. Don't be a lachrymous and start crying right away. It doesn't help. But if you're under 20, crying won't be held against you. Don't ask for a break, and don't yell or start any argy-bargy. And one trooper said, if they're going to flirt with me to get out of a ticket, it would probably insult my intelligence. But unfortunately, I don't get hit on all that often. So flirting or being a gill flirt won't work. Did you know that 15% of all drivers get 76% of all traffic tickets? And the odds of winning if you challenge a traffic ticket in court are 1 in 3. So what should you do when you get pulled over for speeding? Be courteous to the officer, and most of all, be honest. It's words you never heard. I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
To lose weight, we know that each day we need to burn more calories than we take in through eating, and exercise burns more calories. According to Discovery Health, a 150-pound person will burn about 60 calories while taking a 1-hour nap, 1 hour of sitting and watching television burns about the same. But if that 150-pound person takes a 1 hour brisk walk, then say goodbye to more than 250 calories. Cardio exercise like running, biking, swimming, and brisk walking are the best modes of exercise to burn the highest amount of calories and will get the endorphins flowing in your body. Those feel-good neurotransmitters boost your mood naturally. So use exercise to burn calories, lose weight, and to feel good. I'm Annette Hammond. To hear other fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant with Dandy Don McGrath. Dandy Don, I tell you right now, our very special guest, Mr. Dustin Mathews. I'm so glad that he's here because what really impresses me about Dustin is the fact, his attitude. He says with the right mindset and the right skills, anyone can build wealth. That's amazing, isn't it, Dandy?
Absolutely. And, I think many people in this country know that things have changed. How to attain wealth from our parents versus what it's going to be for us and our children has changed a lot. And Dustin is a pioneer in making sure that people are armed with the information and tools that they need to have their best life.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite Mr. Dustin Mathews to the show. And Dustin, would you be so kind as to share that wonderful information with us, brother?
Jim, Don, I am thrilled. I am excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. Are you as fired up as I am today?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm on fire, man.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm just grateful to be able to come and share the message, to be able to, just inspire people to go and really change where they're at. And, it's all about paying it forward. And I just find it funny and fascinating and perfect that here we are today having met some time ago at a previous venture. And you guys are all about spreading the wealth and sharing the message as well. And I just want to take a second to appreciate you guys and say thank you, big time, Jim and Don.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate those kind words. And for you to be here on our show, it's just an honor for us because even though we've known each other for a while, we're great friends and all that, but the information you're going to share, oh my goodness. I mean, if I'm sitting out there in the audience, I'm going to have writer's cramp by the time this show's over.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me start off, and I want to say it this way, and you guys chime in and ask questions as I go along the way, because I want it to be super interactive and engaging for everyone listening in. And, here's what I found, and I can only speak from my experience and hope that it moves people to get into action, because at the end of the day, if you don't do anything, if you just get inspired by ideas but don't take any action, you're going to be right in that same spot. But one of the things that I found is, going to school, for some of us going to school, you get left in eyeballs, what I call eyeballs of debt. There's a crisis going on today in America and even around the world, that people, our young generation coming out, are walking into so much debt. And the challenge is nowadays, especially in this gig economy, most schools don't give you the skills it takes to really get out of debt. Like, I want to ask you, Jim and Don, like, when you went to school or growing up, do you ever remember getting any sort of education about how to balance a checkbook or, how to invest or, debt strategies? Did that ever take place for you guys?
Never, sir. How about you, Dandy?
No, I mean, the thought was go get a job. Go get a job. Your employer will take care of you. Back when I started, there were things like pensions and things like that, right? So that was kind of the common knowledge, and things have certainly changed.
Exactly right. If I could add something, please. We were always told, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and be set for life. Okay, name one place on planet Earth where that philosophy will fly. It won't. And most importantly, everything that I was taught, looking back now, it's only potential knowledge. It's got to have a mind. It's got to have an understanding of the current events and the systems that work to be able to apply any of those principles. And that's one thing that I've really, been excited about Dustin, because he has been able to put this thing together from ground up. The WealthFit.com. He's a co-founder of it. That's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to knock school, and I think our parents, they did the best job they could. So we can't blame, our parents for getting this information, and it's tough to even blame schools, and I don't want to go there. But if you look at it, if you're going to put yourself on the path to wealth, and wealth I should define, that to us is an abundance of, yes, money, but it's also an abundance of time, and it's an abundance of influence. And what I mean by influence is the ability to do whatever you want. So maybe it's start a charity, or maybe it's to, do a passion project. Maybe it's to travel the world. That's what I mean by wealth. I'm not just here to talk about money today. Right. I'm really here to talk about how you can put yourself on that path. And the challenge with that is, teachers, gosh, if we are talking about finances for just half a second here, teachers, are amazing people. However, they make, $40,000, $60,000, maybe $100,000 if you're in, New York City at most, at tops. And so we can't blame the system, because how are they going to teach us what to do? And so, when I realized this, I realized, like, I want to be able to pay it forward. I've been very fortunate and very blessed. I want to be able to pay it forward. And so that's why I was incredibly excited to get behind what I'm doing today. And so our big belief is, no matter where you're at, you've got to get yourself out of debt. You've got to grow your active income. You've got to invest that income and build real long-term wealth. And this may be a wake-up call for a lot of people. You may be struggling right now, but know there is a process. There is a formula for going and putting yourself on the path that you want to be on.
You're absolutely correct there, because as Don and I, we've experienced that to get from where you are to where you want to be. Don mentioned earlier that we don't know everything. No one does. And therefore, you use the mastermind principle that, a lot of people, if I can use Henry Ford very quickly as an example, back in the early 1900s when Henry Ford started Ford Motor Company, a lot of people thought, how could a country bumpkin like this get ahead, right? And what he did, he knew what his limitations were. And he hired engineers and people that understood the world of metallurgy, and he used their brains just like it was his brain. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you can do the same thing today. You may not know how to change and get out from that rut that you're in, but you can associate with yourself with people who do know how to get you out of that rut and use their wisdom too. And that's exactly what we all do, working together and helping one another. And that's what's called paying it forward. Any comment, Dandy?
No, absolutely. I think that's wonderful advice. And I've got a question for you, Dustin. So, you mentioned people, coming out of school up to their eyeballs in debt, and absolutely that appears to be the case. I know several myself in my family, my nieces and nephews. And so what do you feel are some of the things that they need to know to navigate this kind of new way that the world is?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing is awareness. As with anything in life, is you have to take a look at really what's going on. And if you know that something just isn't right, maybe you even know, like, gosh, I'm in debt. Like, some people don't even know. And so if you are there and you do know, now it's about getting additional clarity, additional awareness. And so one of the best exercises that I can share is to actually catalog, to actually just download. That's all you have to do. All the things that you are spending money on, and just take a look at that. So many people bury their heads in the sand, and they say, I'll get to it later, or I'll get that dream job, or this investment's going to pay off, or my business is going to, in 3 months from now, I'll worry about it later. And the challenge with that is you've got to bring the awareness. So that's number one. Number two is taking a look at the things that don't necessarily serve you. And what I mean by that is, companies nowadays are so great at giving you the opportunity to subscribe to something. Think of a Netflix, think of even a gym membership. And the reality is sometimes we get really excited about things in life and we go to the gym, that first couple months, but then we fall off. Or maybe we're watching a good amount of TV, but then we get busy. And so the real thing you should be looking at is, do I really need this in my life? And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Dustin, I love my TV. I get it. But if your goal is to put yourself on a path to wealth and to, make things easier for you, for your family, you've got to do different things. And I know we've got to come to a break here in just a second, but I want to squeeze this in real quick. I want to give people the opportunity to start thinking about growing their active income. And you may be saying, gosh, Dustin, I'm just so far in debt. Like, what can I do? And there's so many opportunities. Jim and Don, I know you talk about this. You present opportunities, but there's so many different ways, such as like driving for Lyft, going on to Fiverr.com and actually providing services. Heck, even selling stuff around the house. I did this just about a year ago, and I was able to generate a couple $1,000s from things just laying around the house. Now, I had to get off the couch, and I actually had to do some work, but I was able to tap into the resources around me and grow my active income. And so odds are you have an opportunity. It's just, are you motivated enough to act on those opportunities?
I love that, Dustin. I love that because, you said something earlier, and I say it all the time. It's success rewards action, right? Understanding it is one thing, but actually getting off the couch and going and figuring out how to sell something on Amazon or eBay is another thing, but success rewards action. Absolutely.
That's right. I mean, there's so many tools and resources out there. Like, I want to give people a couple, like letgo.com. We mentioned eBay, Craigslist. These are all classic, fairly easy to use that people can, get started really today on.
Yeah, these are definitely avenues that's available to you that you can utilize. And that's a great point there. We're going to be breaking here in a few minutes for a commercial, but the question I like to ask you folks to think about is that deep down inside, can you visualize yourself being wealthy? Deep down inside, think about that during the commercial break. We'll be right back.
This show, Your Future Is Now, is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people to find their future. Is fear holding you back from your calling or your life mission? Do you struggle with taking that first step? If so, Bill Henrich is our catalyst to help you create perspectives with new possibilities that will bring you more peace, more joy, more love in your life and freedom. Do you struggle trying to build your strategy? Do you know how to reach your end results? If not, Gigi Ames is your expert in strategy and helping you create your step-by-step game plan to reach your finish line. For more information on creating the life you want to live, reach out to Bill Henrich. Or if Gigi Ames can help you with building your strategy with your end goal in sight, go to SpeakersPathway.com. That is SpeakersPathway.com.
It's words you never heard.
Did you know you can burn as many calories in 45 minutes of yard work as in 30 minutes of aerobics? Yard work is a total body workout consisting of pushing, pulling, lifting, and carrying. Using a push mower alone can burn 300 to 500 calories in an hour. Raking and bagging with a pooking fork, that's a fork often used in gardening, burns about 330 calories per hour. Cleaning and digging with the dibble, that little hand spade, can burn approximately 400 calories an hour. Stay fit by horb-gorbling. That's just puttering around the yard. To me, a perfect summer day is when the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and the lawnmower is broken.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Dustin Mathews, me and Dandy Don. We're very excited to have Dustin as our guest. And right before we went to commercial break, I asked you, can you visualize yourself ever being wealthy? That's a very important question because a lot of people, they have problems visualizing that. And the second question I'd like to ask you is that, do you have a game plan to help you get from where you are to where you want to be? It takes that. It requires knowledge, skills, abilities, and people that's willing in their heart to help you. Do you have that? And if not, I think you're going to be in for a treat. And Dandy, I know you're joining us today from Flagstaff, and we're so glad to have Dandy Don with us because last week, ladies and gentlemen, if I can tell a quick story out of school, Dandy was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. He had his picture taken there, and Sylvia had to get in that flatbed Ford and come and pick him up.
Absolutely.
Now, that comes from the old Eagles song, Take It Easy.
But I assure you, I couldn't have 7 women on my mind with Sylvia, my wife, right there. I mean,
she'd kill him. You'd be missing in action. But ladies and gentlemen, we're joined today by Dustin Mathews. And Dustin, just share some good information with people about how they can change their life and what do they need to do. And, the mic's all yours, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. That question that you asked right before break, can you be wealthy? And I just want to clarify if people are just jumping in. Wealth, yes, has money in it. We talk about money, but also too, it's about creating an abundance of time and impact. Money is just the fuel to help you achieve what it is that you desire. And so when I figured that out very early on, I said, how can I make myself more valuable? Because at the end of the day, whether it's starting a business or being a pillar in your community or just making a difference, the more valuable that you can make yourself, the more valuable you become, the easier it is to achieve things in life. Now, I'm not here to sell you a dream, but I'm saying if you will pick up a book, if you will tune in and listen to Jim and Dandy on a continual basis, they're going to continually surround you with ideas, with thought leaders that are going to change your mind. And so that's the first step. Take inventory of where you're at right now. Are the people around you serving you? Are they giving you ideas? Are they giving you opportunities? Or are they weighing you down? And, when I realized this early on, it wasn't easy. I'm here to tell you, I had a lot of friends and, they're great people, but they weren't going where I wanted to go. I wanted to build a business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I started surrounding myself with other people, and it sort of became like this gravitational pull. And it was very easy. It's like, do I want to hang out over here or do I want to hang out over here? And so that's step number one is you've got to put information into your head however you like to consume. So whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's going to seminars or events, however you like to consume, you've got to surround yourself with the right people and the right ideas. And that, my friends, that's the challenge with why things are the way they are. If you go a traditional path, you're going to get traditional results. But if you want to do something your family's never done before, maybe be the first person to graduate from college, or maybe to start that first business in the family, or to become known as an investor, then you've got to do different things. And Jim, I just want to give you some kudos and props. And Dandy, yours is coming too. You mentioned the mastermind concept, and that's something that I was fortunate enough to read Napoleon Hill and really adopt this, surround myself with other folks that are more successful than I am. And that's what we're doing here at WealthFit. We're out searching for the world's top investors, entrepreneurs, interesting folks that have been there and that have done it. Not teachers that have never done anything before, but folks that are out there making it happen. And by doing so, we aggregate all that at WealthFit and on the show to give people exposure to new ideas and resources.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to add a little something to that. One of the things that Dustin's talking about there in accumulating all these people that have all this mental wealth, I'd like to use that term if I may, and what Don and I do, we're asking you, what is it that you want to do? To be able to make that decision, you've got to have good advice, good information, and good resources, because there's too many people out there trying to convince you to do something that they're doing. That's not your calling in life. Your calling in life is to find out what is your passion, where is your heart. And then, as Dustin was talking about, you associate yourself with the kind of people who can help you, be a blessing in your life. They will pay it forward to you. You will pay it forward to others. And Dandy, I know that's what you and I are all about at speakerspathway.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to something Dustin mentioned a few minutes ago is what I found, and I find that other people struggle with, is getting real clarity on what wealth means to them. You know, what is that life that you want to live 5 or 10 years from now? Because that's the kind of time frame that you probably need to be thinking about if you really want a massive change. It's not a week, not a month. You know, those are get-rich-quick schemes, which we know usually, deliver 7 zeros if you go to a 7-figure workshop, right? So I think it's, that 5-10 year, what does that life want to be like? For me, it's traveling and going rock climbing with my wife and being able to do a radio show from the road. But what is that for you? And I don't know, Dustin, is this something that you've seen with people that you work with?
Absolutely. Don, I mean, you say it is the decision to be wealthy. Once you make that decision, you are right about the time frame. It's not get rich quick. This is sort of the meaning behind WealthFit. And so we believe, like, you go to a gym and you get a trainer, right? You don't just pick up the weights one time, do one session, and now, you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Or you're fit. You've got to go multiple times. And so we believe the same thing. In order to be wealthy, or like we like to say here, wealth fit, you've got to continually train your brain. You've got to get exposed to new ideas about money, about investing, about entrepreneurship, and you've got to work at it. And so that's what we truly believe. I want to share a couple things here. One of the things that you guys know, we've got a show called the Get Wealth Fit Show, and on that show we interview a bunch of different folks, and I'm very blessed to be able to interview a lot of different things. I want to share a couple of them. Do we have time for that? I should ask you guys.
Sure. You bet.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So one of the guests that we had on the show, and again, this will change your mind about the word wealth. One of the folks we had on the show was a SEAL Team 6 leader. His name is Rob O'Neill. And he's credited with taking out Osama bin Laden. Now you're probably wondering, why is this guy on the show? A SEAL team leader? Like, what's the tie-in to wealth? And the tie-in is in that interview, which, by the way, was crazy. He talked about being in the compound, heading up the stairs. And when we were together doing the show and doing the interview, I felt like I was there. But one of the things he said for takeaway is, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in crazy situations like he was in, you've got to stop and you've got to breathe. So much so nowadays, it's social media, it's this fast-paced, world. It's I need to get rich or I need to get wealthy overnight. And he says, listen, this is something that you have to be mindful of no matter your situation. Even if bullets are flying, you've got to not get caught up in what the masses are doing or the hysteria. You've got to take a second and you've got to breathe. Now, I was floored when he said that, because I would imagine, and maybe Jim, you could speak to this. Like when bullets are coming my way, that's probably not the time I want to take a breath. Now, yes, you should probably get out the way. I should preface with that. But just that fact of listen, no one does well if you are under stress, if you can't think clearly and you can't make the right decisions. And so that's just one example of this idea that wealth is something that you do on a day-to-day basis. Wealth is money. Wealth is impact. Wealth is how you live your life. Just like Dandy Don was saying, is like being able to rock climb with his wife and then be able to do a radio show. It looks like different things for different people. You don't have to have some big crazy mansion. You don't have to have a big bank account. That's not what it's about. That's not what we're trying to communicate here. It's about living life on your own terms.
You're exactly right, Dustin, and that's what I appreciate about you so much, because you're the first one that you make it very, very clear when someone's talking to you, hey, this is not about dollars. This is about what type of a lifestyle would you like to create for you and your loved ones. And money doesn't fit into that equation. If you got your health and you got love and you got a lifestyle where you're living the life that you want to live, Money is just the reward for your efforts of doing that. And Don and I, when we first started the Speakers Pathway Coalition, our goals were very simple. We wanted to help someone get from the sidewalk to the stage. And in doing that, and which we've done, in addition to that, now we've got an organization that just really blesses people, whether they want to be an author or from all walks of life, if they want to be, have an online business or whatever. And most importantly, like with what Dustin is saying here about creating your lifestyle, about being wealthy deep down inside, the true wealth he's talking about is something no thief can ever steal from you. How do you feel about that, Don? I know you're feeling the same way I am, brother.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you said and what Dustin said about this is the journey, right?
Yes.
It's not the go to the weekend workshop, come out with 7 figures. We know when you do that, it's 7 zeros, that it's the long game, and that you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
You don't have to do it alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. And one of the things we've seen in Speakers Pathway is the power of community. And I'm sure it's same thing in WealthFit. I think you've done a great job of building a community within WealthFit, Dustin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really need people around you, whether that is a mentor, whether that is a group of supporters. It could be your spouse, but you really need the right people around you to support you. And as we said earlier, sometimes it's weeding it out. I know that sounds crass and maybe a little direct, but it is true. You've got to surround yourself with the right people. Having a community is absolutely powerful because you have like-minded people that are there to converse with you, to challenge you, to inspire you. And that's just one of the many, many different ways. And so mindset, absolutely critical. You've got to make the decision. Next part is you've got to get the skills. Absolutely.
You're so correct there, because one of the things that I've found in life is when I'm talking with someone, like when Don and I are visiting, or if I'm talking to a mentor or someone and I'm talking to them to give them my idea, the energy just flows to them and they got a better answer that opens my eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back right after these messages.
Your Future Is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com, and just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people define their future. You may have heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Koji Sumaldi says if you're not using video in 2019, you're going to get left behind. Most people feel lost or confused when it comes to marketing. Preston Martelli is a marketing guru whose strategies are both art and science in growing your business. Preston helps you make the right decisions that are predictable, measurable, and scalable. For additional information about Koji, Preston, or any of our executive training directors, go to our website at speakerspathway.com. That is speakerspathway.com.
Recently, while my family was skiing in Colorado, we were greeted by a red fox that darted out of the trees. This beautiful animal with his big bushy tail just stood in the snow and stared right at us. Maybe he smelled all the lubberwort we had in our pockets. Lubberwort is another word for junk and snack food. Typically, a red fox eats scrub and woodland, but this one appeared to have had his share of hamburgers and hot dogs from the Chalet Grill. Foxes are similar to dogs, except they are not pack animals. The female fox, or vixen, typically gives birth to a litter of 2 to 12 pups. When they are young, they all live together as a family, known as a leash of foxes. Once grown, the young foxes leave the burrow and go out to live on their own.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And And we're back. We're so thankful that you're listening and tuning in with us today. If you know someone that could benefit from the information that's been covered today on the program, please have them go to the podcast section here at toganet.com and download the radio program. And we're also going to be on iTunes. It'll take about 48 hours for this show to be on iTunes. But ladies and gentlemen, we've been sharing some great information with you, and the individual that's responsible for that great information is Mr. Dustin Mathews. Dustin, are you there, sir?
I am here, and I'm having a blast. I'm really glad that you guys invited me on the show. I'm really glad we're in each other's lives, and we have a similar mission, which is to impact others and share the wealth, and I'm just happy to do that. So I know some people are probably itching here for some action items, like what are the actual steps that we can take. And so, no matter where you're at, maybe you already are successful, but you feel like you can be doing better, or maybe you're like we described at the beginning of the show, maybe your eyeballs in debt and you're like, Dustin, I just don't know how to get out of this. And so the first step, and it may sound a little woo-woo, and we've been talking about this, is you've got to make that decision, like you're going to be wealthy. And again, wealth is more than money. And so the first thing that you can do is actually write out what it is that you want to do. Don mentioned it. He hinted at it, like his lifestyle of rock climbing. It's what he's passionate about doing, speaking around the world and doing a radio show on the road. He most likely envisioned that at some point in his life. If he came across this, likely actually scripted out his day and talked about his ideal day. And I know that might sound crazy, especially if you're looking, up at a very high mountain to climb. Maybe you feel a little underwater, but you've got to make that decision, and then you've got to say, this is what I want to shoot for. And what will happen is your brain, your mind will start to go to work, and opportunities will come out. I can't really describe how that works. I know one of the guests, Bill Heinrich, could go a little more in depth and details to that. But once you do that, then it's all about setting targets. You've got to set targets. Some people call this goals. So if you're in debt right now, great. I understand it. You have awareness. Now let's do something about it. Let's act about it. Let's envision ourselves outside of debt, and then set a target of, I'm going to, generate this amount of income to help me get out of debt, and I'll be out of debt at this, time frame. And now you say, okay, great. How do I go and generate this extra income? Then you can go and do some what we call micro businesses. Some people call them side hustles, but different ways to go out and generate income. Real easy example that most people know about, driving for Uber or Lyft would be a real classic way that anybody could take an asset and now put that to work for them and generate some money. And so it's rather simple, the formula. It's get yourself out of bad debt if you're there. And I real quick, not all debt is bad debt. Bad debt, to define real quick, is something like that doesn't pay dividends. So if you go and buy 3 TVs, this is probably not good debt for you to have. Now, on all of those TVs, it's educational programming that's helping you become a better version of yourself. Then you could argue that it is good debt. But what wealthy people do is they leverage debt to place investments. They leverage debt to start businesses. And so just know that there is good and bad debt. If you're in bad debt, which is credit card debt, bought some things that maybe you shouldn't have, that boat that you're not using and, haven't used for a while, you've got to get out. Number 2, you've got to boost that active income. There's so many different ways to generate income nowadays. Then once you get to a point where you've got a surplus, you want to invest that money, put it to work, stocks, real estate, investing in businesses. There are so many different ways to put that money to work for you. And that really is the plan and the strategy to take you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, there's tactics, of course, like how do I actually invest? What's a great stock? What's a great real estate deal? How do I get into oil and gas? Those would be the tactics, but it goes back to the right mindset and then acquiring those skill sets from the world's best to help you get to where you want to be.
Dustin, you're exactly right. I like the way you put that, because I was talking to the guy the other day, and I told him, I said, you remember what our parents told us? You're always known by the company you keep. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm 70 years of age, and that memo that my mother gave me, mental memo, has never been rescinded yet. And that's very, very critical, because if you want to get out of debt and you want to change your life to what you envision your lifestyle to be, you need to associate yourself with someone or people that can help you get there. That's what I've done, and I know that's what Dandy Don has done.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that Dustin talked about that I'd like to share a little story is about 10 years ago, I made the decision that I wanted to have a different life, 10 years from then. And I went through the process that Dustin talked about. I actually mapped out what I was termed a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. It was coined by Jim Collins in his great book, Built to Last. And I mapped out what does my life, what does life look like 10 years from today? Where do I wake up? What do I eat? Who do I visit? What do I celebrate? What new project am I starting? What project did I just wrap up? And that changed my life. That changed my life. Getting very, very specific on what I wanted my life to be like. And then I was able to put things in motion to get there.
That's amazing. I'm glad you shared that with us because we're all about paying it forward, providing value to people. That's where Dustin, we know him for years. He's taught me and Don many different subjects, and he's just been a tremendous blessing. And Don and I, we believe in paying it forward, and we want to give you something today. You know what time it is? It's Friday freebie time. Dandy Don, what do you have on the menu for us today, sir?
When Dustin talked about that what do you want your life to look like in 5 or 10 years, I changed the Friday freebie, Jim. I was going to do something else, but I developed this tool. It's called the BHAG Builder tool, and it helps you walk through what a day in your life is going to look like 10 years from today. I don't have it up on the website right now, but if people go to speakerspathway.com and go to contact, say, I want the BHAG Builder, I will send you the BHAG Builder. And it's a step-by-step tool that walks you through, helps you think through, what do I want my life to be like? What do I want wealth to look like 10 years from today?
So that's like a roadmap, huh?
Yeah, it helps you build that roadmap and then back out. Once you know what you want a day to look like 10 years from now, you figure out what do I have to do in the next 30 to 90 days to start moving that direction, right?
Yeah, that's extremely valuable, isn't it, Dustin?
It is. Can I get in on Friday freebie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please do.
Well, here's what I'd like to do. If you liked, what we talked about here, and we only had so much time to spread the wealth, so to say, or to share ideas that challenge you and get you on the right path, I'd like to give something for free to everyone listening in. And basically, it is a structure of everything that we talked about that actually holds you by the hand and makes you do the things that we discussed. So we call it here at WealthFit our Wealth Building 101 course. So it shows you how to get out of debt, boost your active income, and start investing for passive income. And the great part about it is there are tools and resources here that will help you develop that vision of wealth. So right now, if you're struggling to come up with your ideal day, if you're struggling to figure out what wealth means to you, this will give you clarity on it. In addition, because one of our big things is boosting your passive income, we've got some resources that show you how you can tap into 101 different side hustles you can do from home today to boost that active income, and 5 different businesses that you could start that doesn't take a rocket science to start that. And it also gives you clarity around debt. And so for those of you that may have what we call bad debt here, it shows you, okay, let's categorize it, let's bring awareness to it, and then let's create a plan. And so it's a 90-minute course. I want to give it to free because I want to help those that, want to put themselves on a path to a different lifestyle, that want to impact the world, that want to, have just more fun in their life. And so all you have to do to get it is just email me. It's Dustin@wealthfit.com. And I'll make sure to get it because we've got to do some tech stuff here on our end to get it to you. But if you'll just email me, Dustin@wealthfit.com, I'll make sure that you get access to the course and all the resources, no charge. It's my way of paying it forward and saying thanks to Jim and Don for having me on the show.
Well,
Wow.
thank you very much, Dustin. When you were sitting there talking about it, I thought, man, I might send him an email and get one for myself, I'm serious. But ladies and gentlemen, on the description of the show for today, I'll put all that information in there. So therefore, make sure you take full advantage of both of these Friday freebies. I know how valuable they are. And most importantly, if you know of someone who is struggling and someone that's got some potential, but, they don't have any direction or they can't quite, get it going, please send them the podcast that from the show, today's show, this program, and say, listen to this and see if there's anything in there singing your song. Because when you're looking for something and the right thing comes along, you know it. Isn't that right, Dandy?
Absolutely. And if you liked what you heard of Dustin, you've got a podcast, right, Dustin? And it's a great podcast. I listened to several episodes. Can you tell us a little bit more about that while we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Get WealthFit Show, and gosh, it's a lot of fun. A lot of people benefit from the show. We interview athletes, celebrities, entertainers, thought leaders, and we've had every kind of folk on, from celebrated investors to NFL football players talking about money, investing, entrepreneurship. We had Danica Patrick on the show talking about her entrepreneurial endeavors. Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, as you mentioned at the top of the show, and so many different folks that are creating wealth in many different ways. And so if real estate's your thing, we cover it. If stocks and investing that's great. If you want to manage your money better and budget, we cover that on the show. And it's just fascinating because we get interesting people on talking about different strategies they use to create wealth for themselves, along with some crazy investing stories, some missteps. So just know you're not the only one that makes mistakes. We all make mistakes out there. And so we get into some of those on the show to let people know we're all human.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely infotainment. You're going to be informed and you're going to be, wow, they made mistakes too. I tell you right now, Dandy, you and I are just so thankful. We just got to do a big time thank you to Dustin for being on our show today, the valuable information he shared with people, and his valuable Friday freebie, along with your Friday freebie that you're coming up with. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Dandy.
Incredible stuff, Dustin. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We'll be back next Friday. Have a good day.